At first I thought someone was at the door, but when I muted the TV and listened, I realized the sound wasn't coming from the front door at all. It was coming from the vent near the floor, the one that connected to the basement. Welcome to my channel. Before we jump into the story, please like and subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. My name is Clara Whitmore, I'm 17 years old, and I grew up in a quiet little suburb in Ohio. The kind of neighborhood where everyone knows everyone. Lawns are trimmed, mailboxes are painted white, and nothing bad ever seems to happen. At least that's what people like to believe. But on one particular Saturday night, when my parents left me home alone, I learned that sometimes the scariest things don't come from the outside. They come from inside your own house. My parents had gone out to a late dinner party across town. They promised they'd be home by midnight, maybe a little later if the roads weren't bad. That meant I had the whole house to myself until then. Normally I didn't mind. I actually enjoyed the freedom. I'd order some pizza, binge-watch Netflix, and maybe FaceTime a friend or two. I had just microwaved a leftover slice of pepperoni and curled up on the living room couch with a blanket when it happened. Knock. 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 At first I thought someone was at the door, but when I muted the TV and listened, I realized the sound wasn't coming from the front door at all. It was coming from the vent near the floor, the one that connected to the basement. I froze. My first thought was, the furnace is acting up again. It was an old house after all. The basement always made strange noises, pipes banging, wood creaking, that kind of thing. I forced a laugh at myself, turned the volume back up and tried to shake it off. But a few minutes later I heard it again. Knock. Knock. Knocked it 3 knocks. Even, deliberate. Like someone trying to get my attention. My skin prickled. I grabbed my phone and texted my best friend. "Think my house is haunted, LL." She sent back a laughing emoji. But I wasn't laughing. I got up, padded softly across the carpet and stood in front of the basement door. It was an old wooden door with peeling white paint and a rusty knob. I pressed my ear against it, holding my breath. Silence. I stood there for a full minute before finally backing away. "It's nothing," I whispered to myself. "There's just the house settling." I went back to the couch, but I couldn't relax. I kept glancing at the hallway where the basement door stood. 10 minutes passed. Then it came again, this time louder. Knock, knock, knock. I jumped so hard the remote fell out of my hands. This wasn't the furnace. This wasn't the pipes. It was too deliberate, too human. My heart pounded in my ears as I grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen drawer. My hands trembled as I twisted the knob of the basement door and pulled it open. A wave of cool, musty air drifted up to greet me. The wooden stairs groaned under my weight as I descended slowly, each step sounding like a gunshot in the silence. The beam of my flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing stacks of dusty boxes, an old washer and dryer, and the low ceiling beams. Halfway down, it happened again. Knock. Knock, knock, but this time the sound didn't come from below me. It came from right behind me. I spun around so fast my flashlight flickered. The stairwell above me was empty, just shadows stretching across the walls. My breath came in short, shallow gasps. "Hello?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Silence. The basement air felt heavier, thicker, like it was pressing against my chest. Every instinct in me screamed to get out. I bolted back up the stairs, slammed the door shut and locked it. I pressed my back against the door, listening. That's when the scratching started. Scratch, screw. It sounded like long fingernails dragging across the wood from the other side. I screamed and grabbed my phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers. "The police, 911, what's your emergency?" The operator asked calmly. There's someone in my basement," I stammered. "I heard knocking, scratching, please send someone." She told me to stay on the line, stay calm, and that officers were on the way. The scratching continued for another minute before stopping abruptly. The silence was almost worse. 20 minutes later, red and blue lights flashed outside my window. I ran to the door and flung it open as 2 uniformed officers approached. They searched the basement top to bottom, checking the boxes, the crawl space, even behind the washer and dryer. Nothing. When they finally came back upstairs, one of them, a younger guy, shrugged. "We didn't find anything, miss. Might have been the pipes, or maybe a raccoon under the house." But the older officer stayed behind. He looked at me with a serious expression. You said you heard knocking. Yes, I whispered. 3 knocks. Over and over, his jaw tightened. 20 years ago, a boy went missing on this street. Last place anyone saw him was this house. He was playing hide and seek with his brother. They thought he'd gone into the basement. Police never found a body. I felt the blood drain from my face. The officers eventually left, assuring me the house was safe, but I didn't feel safe. I sat on the couch clutching my phone, staring at the locked basement door. Hours passed. Midnight came and went. My parents still weren't home. At 12:37 a.m., just as I was starting to doze off, I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. This time it echoed not just from the basement vent, but from the walls around me. I froze. And then, so faint I thought I imagined it, a voice whispered through the vent. Clara, let me out. When my parents finally came home, I didn't tell them what happened. They wouldn't believe me anyway. They'd say it was just my imagination, the stress of being alone, but deep down I know what I heard. And every night since then, as I lie awake in my bed, I still hear it. Knock, 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 always 3, always waiting. My name is Lucas Grant, I'm 19, and I had planned the perfect weekend to myself. My friends were out camping in the mountains for a few days, leaving me the house alone. I thought it would be relaxing, a chance to sleep in, play video games, and binge-watch horror movies without anyone judging me. I didn't plan for this. The first sight it was about midnight when I was sitting in my room, headset on, deeply immersed in an online game. The house was quiet, too quiet. My blinds were half open, and the backyard was swallowed in darkness, the kind of darkness that makes every rustling leaf sound like a footstep. I was just finishing a match when I noticed a shadow by the tree line in the yard. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. Shadows move sometimes, right? Maybe it was the wind swaying the branches, but then it shifted slightly. I leaned closer to the window and froze. A tall figure was standing there, perfectly still, just watching me. My stomach dropped and my hands went numb. I laughed nervously into my mic. Guys, I swear someone's in my yard. My friends joked back, teasing me, but I knew I wasn't imagining it. The fear set's innie turned off the lamp, plunging the room into near darkness. I held my breath, clutching my phone and camera. I snapped a picture, trying not to look outside too long. The figure didn't move. Not a muscle. Panic started to creep in. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I told myself to calm down, to rationalize it. Maybe it's just a neighbor walking by, someone outside. But no one should be out here at this hour. Then the tapping started. Tap, tap, tap. At first I thought it was my imagination, but it came from the living room window. Directly beside me, I froze, staring at the glass. And then I saw it. A pale face pressed against the window, wide grin, empty black eyes that seemed almost unreal. I stumbled backward, nearly dropping my phone. Trapped, I ran to the front door, but my hands shook so badly I couldn't unlock it immediately. My breathing came in sharp, panicked gasps. My mind raced. What do I do? Call 911, hide, try to scare them off. I did the only thing I could think of. I called 911. The operator told me to stay calm, stay inside, and keep the doors locked. Police were on the way. By the time I peeked out the front window again, the figure was gone. My relief was short-lived. I decided to check all the locks and windows. Everything seemed normal. No signs of forced entry, no footprints in the yard, nothing, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. Circling shadows minutes later, I heard footsteps. Not in the yard this time, but circling the house. From window to window I could hear light tapping, as if someone or something was testing the locks. I moved quietly to my room, shutting and locking the door, but the tapping didn't stop. The sound traveled from the living room to the kitchen, then outside the side window. I crouched near the door, trying to stay silent, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst through my chest. Then the figure appeared again, right outside the side window, staring, smiling, watching me. Police arrived finally, after what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes. Flashing red and blue lights illuminated the front yard. Relief flooded me, and I ran to the front door as 2 officers arrived. They searched the property thoroughly. The yard, the bushes, every corner of the house, nothing. No footprints. No signs of anyone being there. No broken locks, no evidence of entry. "Are you sure you saw someone?" One officer asked. "Yes," I said, my voice trembling. "Right here. I swear I saw them." Another officer gave me a skeptical look. "Well, you're lucky. Most of the calls we get like this don't end so clean." I didn't feel lucky. The phone after the officers left, I tried to convince myself it was over. I closed the blinds, turned off the lights, and sat in my bed staring at the wall. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. It was a photo. I checked it, heart hammering, and it was the one I thought I had taken of the figure earlier. But now the shadowy figure wasn't by the tree line. It was directly outside my window. I froze, unable to move. Its grin was wide, teeth almost glowing in the faint light. And its eyes, empty, watching, judging. The long night I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every sound, the wind brushing against the house, the creak of the floorboards, the distant hum of a car engine, made me jump. Every shadow on the wall looked like it could move. I kept my phone by my side, fingers ready to dial 911 again if necessary. But no matter how much I watched, I couldn't see it again. By morning, the sunlight poured through the blinds, making everything look safe. Too safe. But I knew better. The unseen threat, even now, weeks later, I still check the windows before bed. Every slight movement outside, every shadow, every whisper of wind makes me flinch. I tell myself it's over, that it was a prank or my imagination. But deep down, I know it isn't. Sometimes when I'm alone in my room late at night, I swear I can see a pale face pressed just beyond the glass, watching, waiting. And I know one thing for sure, whoever, or whatever that was, they are still out there, still waiting,